Police say the suspect responsible for a school shooting in Southeast Dallas yesterday is now behind bars, and the district has not given details about how that gun made it to campus or the circumstances leading up to the shooting.
Fox 4's Peyton May live this morning from Wilmer Hutchins High School with the latest on the investigation. Peyton.
Yes, Brandon, Tracy Haynes Jr. turned himself into Dallas County Jail last night and is facing felony charges. Now, according to an arrest warrant affidavit, a student let Haynes inside the school through an unsecured door around 1 yesterday afternoon. Police say he opened fire at a group of male students, striking 5 people. Dallas Fire Rescue took 4 to the hospital, saying 1 had serious injuries and the rest were non-life-threatening. This is the second time a shooting has happened at the school in just over a year, and parents are frustrated.
And I'm thinking about taking them out and putting them in homeschool. Because it's something I can't keep going through this as a parent.
The last thing anyone thinks when they're bringing their children to school, whether it's a high school or whether your spouse or significant other is going to work, is to think that these things are happening. But they do happen, and they shouldn't be happening.
Police don't know the motive for the shooting. Haynes is charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault mass shooting. His bond is set at $600,000. Now, school is canceled for the rest of the week, and counselors will be available on campus for students and staff who need more support. School will resume next Tuesday. Reporting live in Dallas, Peyton May for Good Day.
All right, Peyton, thanks. Tuesday's shooting is the second outbreak of gun violence at Wilmer Hutchins High School in just over a year. April 12th of last year, police say 17-year-old Jakarian Rhodes Ewing shot a classmate in the leg after getting a gun past a metal detector. The district said the student's bag was not properly checked by staff. Rhodes Ewing has a hearing in Dallas County Criminal Court next Tuesday. Stay with Fox 4 as we learn more about this developing story. You can also find the latest online at fox4news.com or on the Fox Local app.
So this story right here, I actually found it posted in my Discord. I actually kind of heard about it, I think in passing, but it was only when it was announced about what was going on, but they didn't have any details behind it. And then I saw it posted up in my Discord by one of my subscribers, and it had the identity of the person who actually committed the shooting. Now, what's interesting about this is, if y'all remember, I just recently did a video about that stabbing that happened at Fort Lee High School in New Jersey, but they didn't put out the identity or the name of the person who did that, even though there were no casualties, but the person was in critical but stable condition. But they didn't put their names out there, and to my knowledge, I don't think anybody died from this situation, but they were quick to put this person's face out there. Just something I noticed. So as you can see right here, this person's name is Tracy Haynes Jr. and he's 17 years old, and he went on a mass shooting. Now notice it didn't say mass murder because no one passed, but either way, it's still a messed up situation. But before I go any further, they need to go after the person that let him into the school, because in my opinion, they're just as responsible as he is, which means that person is connected. So they need to get the person that let him into the school, because if he's let into the school, my first question would be, is he even a student there? That was my first initial thought, was he even a student there? And or if he wasn't a student there, why was he there? And apparently he was going after people. So this sounded like this was a targeted attack. Like he was going after specific individuals. It's not like this was just a random thing. You know, someone let them into the school. He probably could have went to another school and had beef with someone at the school, and he decided to go after them. Thankfully, none of them lost their life, but still at the end of the day, that's a scary situation, because it definitely could have went even more further left than what it did. Now, I did see online where he actually did turn himself in. There is video footage where he actually does turn himself in, like he doesn't try to flee or anything like that. Like, this happened during the day, but he ended up turning himself in at night, and his family was there, and the cops came and they got him and they took him in, and it was no struggle. He didn't resist. He stood there, let them put the cuffs on him, and then they put him into the patrol car and they drove away, and that's pretty much it. So there it is right there. He's definitely going to be hit with a boatload of charges without the shadow of a doubt. He's definitely going to face some jail time. It's no surprise there, and he should receive it, because at the end of the day, he basically caused what I call domestic terrorism light. I say light because no one lost their life, but it was still, in my opinion, a domestic terroristic act because 4 people did get injured from what he decided to do. Right now, there is no motive as to why he did it, but the fact that he was let in, again, my question is, did he even go to the school or did he go to a rival school? And the fact that he was let in with that gun, he was going after certain people. So I'm sure that'll eventually come out, which is probably a good thing why he's still alive, because you know what they say, dead men don't talk. But another thing that made me want to talk about this is because it's not lost on me that Tracy Haynes Jr. is 17 years old. He's black and he lives in Texas. Just like Carmelo Anthony is 17 years old, he's black and he lives in Texas. Because when I was getting the audio, well, the video audio that y'all heard in the beginning, I said, Dorian, I don't know why I'm about to do this to myself, but let me go and see what they're talking about in these comments, just based off of what I know alone from that. And let me just tell you, they didn't disappoint. So let's go through some of these comments and see what they're talking about on here. One person said, is a bunch of people going to try to claim that it was self-defense this time? Another one said, I bet it was self-defense and needs a GoFundMe to defend himself. Someone says, Tracy Haynes Jr., are they setting a GoFundMe for his victims and him? And another person says, no one to blame but the parents. I'm like, I knew this was going to happen. I knew that they were going to find a way to drag in the whole Carmelo Anthony situation with this and then attach it to this. Because again, what I just say, they're both black, they're both 17, they're both males, and it happened in Texas. And literally, they happened about 2 weeks apart. So while everything with Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf is still fresh. So I knew that they were going to do this. Let's continue. These comments read, says 1 week later after Camaro, and they misspelled his name, Camaro Anthony went on a stabbing spree. I know they were trying to say spree, but first off, I'm gonna need you to learn how to spell his name and spree. And second of all, he wasn't going on a stabbing spree. Like what? And see what I mean when they try to flip. I think this might have been one of the goofiest of all the comments. It says 1 week later after Camaro Anthony, I'm reading as he wrote it, went on a stabbing spree in Frisco. Teenager brings guns, and he says guns like this. Tracy Haynes Jr. brought multiple guns to school. Apparently, it was only just one firearm. See what I mean? This person's all over the place. I bet they one of them people that probably just created their account like the day before they wrote this comment. Someone else said, the usual suspects. Someone says, don't notice the pattern, ignore your lying eyes. And one says, gee, so another Texas kid stabbed and killed a young man and he's out on a $250K bond. What the hell? What are they talking about? There was no stabbing here. What are they talking about? See what I mean? Their anti-blackness literally blinds them to logic. Because where in this story was there anyone stabbed? I'm confused. And where was anyone let out on a tour? Okay, let me continue. And this one says, kid was trying to get himself some money and a new house. Like I said, I knew they were going to do this. I knew that this was going to happen. But see how stupid they sound. See how dumb they sound. And I think that there's one more set of comments that I'm going to go through as it pertains to this story. And this last one says, surprised they actually showed the mugshot this quick. Now, let's see how long this story stays in the on the agenda like Thug Mellow Anthony. Someone that says, does anyone see a pattern here? How about a GoFundMe, then buy a mansion and live in a better hood? Someone says, has anybody sent them thoughts or prayers? Another person said, most likely gang related, case closed. Someone else says, where are his baby pictures or dressed in a nice suit? And then another person ends off with self-defense. So again, when this happened, and the thing is, this is just on the video that I was reading off of. Now, this is a freshly new update to the story because initially it was just the shooting itself, but the update was the identity. And it was posted maybe about 3 hours ago from the time of me recording. I said, wait until the usual suspects like the ones on Twitter, if they haven't done so already, got a hold of it. They're going to do the same thing they're doing here, and they're probably going to go overboard. Well, let me just tell you right here. This was not self-defense. So I don't know why they're trying to bring that up. is no way anybody in their right mind would claim that this dude was defending himself. He was led into the school. He had a gun. He had a mission, and he decided he was going to shoot 4 people. That is not self-defense. And no one over here is going to defend him or say, oh, he needs a GoFundMe or a Give, Send, Go. I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to defend this dude for what he did. I know I'm not, but then again, I can't speak for everybody else. But for me, I'm not going to be creating no campaign, some Kickstarter or campaign or whatever to raise funds for him so he can get out on whatever bond they have him on, assuming he has a bond to begin with. He can stay right where he's at. He's going to get exactly what he deserves. And they look, because the thing is, they like to say that black people don't like to hold other black people accountable. Well, I can't speak for every black person. I'm speaking for myself. I'm holding him accountable. He deserves whatever punishment that he's going to receive, and he's definitely going to get something, especially down there in Texas. All I'm going to say is this: he's lucky there were no casualties, because then if they wanted to, they could probably throw capital punishment on the table, considering the optics of being let into school with a gun and then you do what you did, which means you planned, you had intention to go there. So whatever they throw at him his way, it is what it is. But as far as the usual suspect, I already knew they was going to do this. So by the time y'all see this video, they probably would have gone on a whole spree, not a spring like that one troll comment said, but a spree about the narrative that they're trying to push, as you can see right there on your screen. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next one.
But wait, there's more.
So there have been 2 updates that have come through about this story since I recorded. Actually, one of them, this one I'm recording right here, was in a separate article the same day that I recorded this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over this first one. As you can see, it says Dallas school shooting suspect called nonprofit before turning himself in. It says the 17-year-old accused of opening fire inside Wilmer Hutchins High School told the president of a nonprofit that he wanted to turn himself in because he was scared of getting hurt. Tracy Haynes Jr. turned himself in at the Lou Sterrett Justice Center around 9 p.m. Tuesday. He was booked into the Dallas County Jail and is charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault and a mass shooting, a first-degree felony. Anton Lucky is with the Urban Specialists, a nonprofit organization that works to curb gun violence and poverty. His team on Tuesday was already trying to get in contact with the victims of the Wilmer Hutchins shooting when unexpectedly they received a call from the suspect's aunt. Lucky, acting as a mediator between a detective and Haynes, says Haynes finally agreed to come meet at Lucky's office. Meanwhile, police swarmed a Waxahachie, I hope I pronounced that correctly, neighborhood in search of Haynes. Police posted at the South Central Patrol Division waited for him to turn himself in. After the 2 talked, Lucky says Haynes was willing at that point to turn himself in. Late Tuesday, Haynes finally turned himself in. The video was captured by a social media live streamer by the name of Smash the Topic. Intake video shows the 17-year-old being booked into the Dallas County Jail. It says Lucky recaps the initial phone call with the suspect's aunt. She wanted to turn her nephew in and didn't want nothing to happen to him, said Lucky. Lucky says Haynes was vague when asked why he decided to open fire in the school hallway. He says there was a back and forth of threats that were going back and forth on his life from other individuals. He says he is facing multiple charges, including aggravated assault in a mass shooting. The fact that Tracy called this nonprofit, I wonder if he knew them, because like the fact that that's who he contacted first and that's who he spoke with, and he decided that, you know, I'm going to speak with this individual because, you know, they will probably be the go-to person for me to speak to. Like they said, they acted as a mediator, the person who he spoke with. So I wonder if he knew him. He probably did, in order for that to be the person, the go-to person for you to call in a situation such as this. So that's the first update. Now the next update has to deal with his bond being denied. So this came out on April 21st, 2025, which was about 5 days after the initial report. It stated a judge denied a request to lower the $3.1 million bond for the 17-year-old Wilmer Hutchins High School shooting suspect. Tracy Haynes Jr. is accused of opening fire inside the Wilmer Hutchins High School hallway on April 15th and shooting 5 people, including a teacher who was grazed by a bullet. 3 different school security cameras captured video of the shooting. They appear to show Haynes entering the school through a side door and firing shots at students in the hallway. Haynes allegedly approached one student who wasn't able to run away and took a point-blank shot. During a hearing on Monday, prosecutors argued in favor of a higher bond amount, stating the shooting was premeditated and planned out to target several individuals. They said the only reason the final victim is still alive is that Haynes' .40 caliber gun with an extended clip was jammed up. He says, "Do you know where Tracy got the weapon?" The state's attorney asked his aunt. "No, ma'am," Lucretia Davis said. Would it surprise you that the weapon used in the Wilmer Hutchins shooting also came back to an offense at the family house? Would it shock you? The prosecutor asked. Haynes' relatives denied having any knowledge of a prior offense that allegedly involved a gun at Haynes' father's house, but they did confirm he moved in with another aunt afterward. Prosecutors also brought up an assault that happened at Haynes' former school, Roosevelt High School. He was sentenced by the juvenile court and completed 6 months of probation in that case. Finally, the prosecution argued Haynes was a flight risk because of the 8 hours he spent on the run after the shooting. Now, there's an other side to this. Now, this part right here is going to lean into the motive into why Tracy did this shooting. Because remember when I said in the initial part that this felt like it felt targeted. It didn't seem random. It felt like he was going after somebody or some people. And what I'm about to read to you next is going to break that down. It says the defense argued that Haynes feared for his life because members of the 5K gang were threatening him and his family. Several of his relatives testified that those threats started while he was living with his father and attending Roosevelt High School. And remember what they were just talking about, that high school where there was an incident that happened there before in which he had got probation for something that happened there. It says they continued after he was transferred to Wilmer Hutchins High School because the gang has members at both schools. Mr. Haynes was not firing indiscriminately at other students. He specifically only fired shots at the young man that threatened him and his family, said Tamani Adams, Haynes' defense attorney. Haynes has a heart condition and is being held in the jail infirmary, according to the defense. Still an ongoing investigation. We love our family member. We are standing here in solidarity for Tracy. To God be the glory, his aunt said. Judge Carter Thompson denied the request to reduce Haynes' bond without making any comments. Fox 4 initially reported that he was charged with 4 counts of aggravated assault in a mass shooting with a bond set at $160,000 for each charge. He is now facing 6 counts of aggravated assault in a mass shooting with a bond set at $500,000 for 5 of those counts and $600,000 for 1 of the counts. His total bond amount is $3.1 million. So now we have those updates right there. We find out that he called a nonprofit organization to basically turn himself in. And then we find out that his bond was reduced. And we also get a backstory as to why he allegedly did what he did. Well, not so much allegedly, why he did do what he did, because he did go up into the school and he did open fire. Now, the thing is, his team has a lot of work to do in order to pull a self-defense card in hopes that it works. The fact that his bond was, 1, not reduced, 2, he's not getting out, and 3, they've already labeled him a flight risk, and then he has a felony charge attached to him. This is going to be a lot of work for his team to see if they can get that not so much self-defense thing, but to try to do he was just protecting himself, because of what was going on. This gang was coming after him, so they and his family, so they're gonna have a lot of work to try to prove this. Now, the thing that's really gonna mess him up is that, 1, they're gonna have to show that the people that he was going after, that he was shooting at, were people that was threatening him. They're gonna have to have proof of that. But the thing that's probably gonna mess him up is the fact that a teacher, an innocent teacher who has nothing to do with whatever he has going on with this gang, got injured. Because remember, they said a teacher got grazed by the bullet. So that's going to play a factor into it as well. So if he didn't get any jail time for going after this gang that was allegedly going after him, he's definitely going to get something for that part with the teacher getting injured because of him. So this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to see if I can try to stay on top of this story and just to be updated to see what it is. And if I have any people that live down there in the state of Texas that have heard about this, y'all can keep me updated as well, as y'all are much closer to the story than I am. But that's pretty much the updates that I have right now. And if there's anything else that'll come, I'll throw it in here. But if not, we'll talk about it more at a later date.